the 26th of July, 1943, and in the cockpit of his B-17 Ruthie 2 is co-pilot, Second Lieutenant John Morgan, and his good friend, Captain Robert Campbell. They're in a formation of 120 bombers on their way to attack Germany. But they've barely made it over the North Sea when Morgan sees enemies up ahead.
Bandits, 12 o'clock high. A lot of them.
Swarming towards them are over 150 German fighters.
Ready up, boys.
Behind the pilots, Engineer Staff Sergeant Tyre Weaver climbs into the top turret and lines up his guns. The enemy flies in a straight and level with the flying fortresses. It's the best angle to hide from as many guns as possible. On the right side cheek gun, Second Lieutenant Keith Koski shouts out the enemy position.
Bandits, 1 o'clock level.
And he is the first to open fire. The FW-190s shoot their 20mm cannons and machine guns, and German shells streak across the sky, headed directly towards the Ruthie 2's cockpit. Morgan flinches as the enemy fire crashes into his position. Weaver cries out in pain as a 20mm shell strikes him on the left shoulder, but a single bullet finds its mark directly at the head of Captain Campbell. The FW-190s roar past the battered B-17 and pepper its fuselage with shells. As they pass through the box formation of B-17s, it seems like the entire formation is stirred to life as gunners try and hit the passing Germans. On the flight deck, Morgan is stunned as he takes in the devastation inside the cockpit and the gruesome scene. He sees a terrible sight of his captain, who is slumped in the seat next to him with a wound to the head. Morgan is on his own. It's now his responsibility to get the crew home.
We've been hit. There's too many of them. The captain's hit, but I got this.
He determinedly grips the controls and brings his fortress into formation. But suddenly, he's shocked as the yoke moves in his hands. Morgan feels the controls move as the bomber banks hard to the left. He fights back and looks over at his captain. Incredibly, despite his head wound, Campbell is sitting straight and alert as he maneuvers the aircraft. It's not good. As FW-190s come screaming towards the fort, Campbell banks hard to the right. It's the opposite of what he should do. The maneuvers push them out of formation.
Bob, what are you doing? Keep formation. We're dead if we're on our own.
Campbell doesn't reply. Instead, he carries on flying the plane. He's suffered severe brain trauma. His skull is shattered and is bleeding. He doesn't hear Morgan.
Bob, hold formation.
More BF-109s come roaring over the B-17, and Campbell throws the plane into yet another aggressive maneuver. At the back, the gunners hold on for dear life, the growing number of casings rolling across the floor, and they almost lose their footing.
What's going on?
With colossal effort, they still manage to get their guns on target and keep sending as much lead at the enemy as they possibly can. In the nose, Koski holds down the trigger of his machine gun. As targets approach from all directions, the intercom's awash with callouts as they fight for their lives. Suddenly, he sees the turret gunner, Tyre Weaver, fall beside him and collapse on the floor. Koski immediately rushes to his aid. He finds Weaver's left arm has been shot off and is bleeding heavily.
Weaver, stay with me.
He tries to administer as much aid as he can, but he knows that the injuries are too severe and there's no way that Weaver's going to make the 4 hours back to England. And Weaver himself knows it. He's weak and in severe pain. He catches Koski's attention. He points at himself, then at the hatch. He wants to bail. Koski is torn. Even if Weaver survives the jump, there's no guarantee the Germans won't leave him to die. But he quickly realizes it's his only chance.
9 o'clock low, fighters. I can't see them. They're too damn fast.
Outside, the mayhem of fighters continues, and the sounds of machine gun chatter as enemies pass by at incredible speeds. A BF-109 fires a burst of shells across the length of the Ruthie 2. They detonate in the thin skin. The resulting damage takes out the intercom for the entire plane. But even worse, the oxygen supply for the rear half of the plane is punctured. In the cockpit, Morgan is still wrestling with the controls and fights desperately to keep the B-17 in formation. He's attempting to counteract Campbell's erratic inputs.
Bob, hold formation.
But it's not working. The plane is all the while falling further out of formation. Morgan feels the weight of command on his shoulders. He has to get his captain off the controls. He reaches over to the wounded captain to pull him away from the yoke. Campbell still has his strength and immediately resists.
Give me the controls, sir.
Morgan tries to pry him away, but Campbell doesn't budge. With one hand, he makes a fist and punches Morgan straight in the face. Morgan is shocked, furious, and in despair.
Robert, please.
Robert Campbell doesn't comprehend what's happening. On some deep level, in his injured brain, he's still in command and fighting for the lives of his crew. With intense fury, he repeatedly punches Morgan, a flurry of blows striking him on the head and torso.
Robert, please, let me have control.
But Campbell is undeterred. He punches Morgan in the eye, followed by another punch in the jaw. Morgan covers his head with his arm and leads as far from Campbell as he can. But then he sees that in his anger, Campbell has stopped working the controls. Pushing through the painful punches, Morgan grips the yoke and starts maneuvering the aircraft back up towards the formation. Meanwhile, in the nose of the aircraft, Koski finishes tightening the parachute on Weaver, who is fading quickly. He pushes open the hatch and is blasted by the freezing air. Looking down, he can see a German city in the distance. He shuffles Weaver forwards and places a parachute ripcord in his hand. But barely conscious, Weaver pulls early and the chute flops on the floor.
No!
Koski is mortified. Weaver can't miss this city, or his already slim chances will be gone. Completely out of time now, Koski takes the parachute and jams it under Weaver's arm before pushing him out of the plane, praying that it will open and his friend will be saved. At the rear, the gunners still fight, but the leaking oxygen tanks are running out. They can feel the early symptoms of hypoxia. Their decision-making is getting slow. Their shots become less accurate and they start to feel sleepy.
What the hell? It's the oxygen. We lost the oxygen.
But without the intercom, there's no hope of the men being heard. Their vision blurs and balance wanes. But they stay at their machine guns, firing at the blurry forms of aircraft. But one by one, they collapse. The remaining waist gunner pleads for oxygen over the broken intercom one last time before everything goes dark. Everyone behind the bomb bay has fallen unconscious, except the ball turret gunner, who continues to fight, unaware of what's going on above him. The Germans empty the last of their ammunition at the Americans. The B-17 shudders and shakes as the Germans break off their attack. But in the cockpit, the battle continues. Morgan keeps taking hits from a relentless Campbell. Welts and cuts are appearing over him, and he realizes he can't take much more. Morgan strikes out, attempting to restrain Campbell's arm, but he fails, and Campbell lands a punch into Morgan's mouth. He feels something loose and spits it out. It's a tooth. He can't keep flying like this. He needs to end it. Redoubling his efforts, he reaches for Campbell and grabs onto his oxygen mask and is ready to rip it off, but he doesn't. Morgan holds onto it, weighing his options. If he rips it off, the fight will end, and he can save all the others, but his friend could die. But the decision is taken from him as Campbell shoves Morgan's arm off his face and continues his relentless assault. As the pilot and co-pilot fight over the controls, the B-17 wobbles and drifts off course. Eventually, blood loss and exhaustion weaken Campbell, and Morgan finally manages to pin him down. He breathes heavily as Campbell still struggles under his grasp. He might be able to get everyone home after all. But just then, as he gets the B-17 straight and level and back into formation, he sees black cotton puffs erupt in the skies ahead. It's flak. The bombing run is still going ahead. Explosions rock the formation. Shrapnel rips at the fortresses as they get closer to their target. Morgan feels the Ruthie 2 get buffeted by the waves of shrapnel slamming into the fuselage. All the while, Campbell's still struggling, but Morgan keeps him pinned. Just as he thinks it can't get any worse, he sees in the distance more German aircraft approaching.
Bandits, 8 o'clock high.
He reports it over the intercom, but has no idea the intercom is out.
Bandits, 8 o'clock high.
He watches in horror as the enemy fighters brave their own flak and come screaming in from his left. Their guns light up. Morgan feels even more impact strike his fort. They punch through the wings and pierce one of the fuel tanks, causing it to leak right next to the hot engines. The drop target's coming up, but without intercoms, there's no way to signal the bombardier. But the bombardier is ready.
I think the intercom is out, but I'm dropping those bombs.
And is already checking the bomb site. He doesn't have control of the plane as he normally would, but he's watching the puffs of smoke through thousands of feet below and releases his bombs as best he can.
Bombs away.
Morgan feels the B-17 rise as the bombs are released. Unbelievably, despite all the events, they've achieved the mission objective, and the B-17's turn for home. He's amazed it's still flying, but the Ruthie 2 is still answering his controls. The German aircraft chase and harass them, shooting at the fortresses from the rear. Without rear gunners, the Ruthie 2 is blasted without any return fire.
Where is everyone?
Morgan thinks his crew has bailed and considers following them down, but he can't leave Campbell or whoever might still be on board behind. The Germans turn away, once again out of ammunition. The remaining gunners in the ball turret and the nose remain on high alert for another hour until, finally, the beautiful sight of the English Channel comes into view.
We're gonna make it.
The battle over, Koski takes a moment to breathe and calm himself before he decides to go check on the pilots. He's not ready for what he sees. The flight deck is a nightmarish scene of blood and destruction. Morgan locks eyes with Koski and is immensely relieved to see someone else. Morgan quickly explains what happened, and Koski is incredulous. To land the plane, Morgan needs to get into the pilot's seat.
Help me get Campbell off his seat.
They begin to remove Campbell. He resists but is too weak to push them off. Working carefully, it takes the crew half an hour to move him off the seat. Morgan's now in a race for time if he's going to save his friend. He gets as low as he can and aims to head for the closest friendly airbase. By pushing the plane lower early to save Campbell, the air becomes breathable for the crew without having to use masks. And so, unbeknownst to Morgan, in the back of the plane, a miracle takes place. Despite spending nearly 2 hours without oxygen, all 4 of the affected men in the rear stir awake. Apart from some frostbite, the men are unharmed. Some 3 hours after the start of the nightmare mission, Morgan brings Ruthie 2 to land safely back in England. He has saved the lives of everyone on board, except one. Tragically, the pilot, Robert Campbell, succumbed to his injuries just 1 hour after landing. Incredibly, Weaver also managed to survive. Thanks to Koski, who helped him bail out of the aircraft, Weaver received immediate medical attention upon landing and became a POW. He survived the war and lived to the age of 74. For his unwavering determination, John Morgan earned the Medal of Honor for his actions.
Did you hear about the B-17 tail that landed with the gunner inside? Watch this film and find out all about it.